Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shay Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "I love the woman that I become because I fought like hell to be her." Courtney Mazal is right where she wants to be. It's not just growing her real estate business or the fantastic homes she loves to showcase. It's not even the fun stories that seem to come out of house showings. This is the one moments that let her know she has the perfect career. Courtney understands the importance of finding the ideal place for the lifestyle that you want. For some, it's living in suburbia, like bike trails, parks, and award-winning schools. Others might find the perfect condo downtown with a short walk to their job or the farmer's market. Whatever experience you're seeking, Courtney knows where to find it. A Colorado native, Courtney knows the Front Range and Northern Colorado inside and out. She is skilled in marketing, contract negotiations, connecting with clients, and she gets results. So Courtney, thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your busy day. And tell me a little bit about you and your journey of becoming a realtor.
Okay. In my past life, I was in business administration for about 20 years. I'm also a licensed esthetician by trade. So I've tried a lot of different avenues to find my niche, and separated from my ex-husband. And at that point in time, I was dating somebody who was really in real estate, super successful in real estate. He's actually been in real estate now for about 30 years. He's remained in my life. He's now my business partner and managing broker, and has been a big part of mine and my daughter's life for the last 10 years. So for the last 10 years, I've been a single parent, and that was part of what got me into real estate as well. When I separated and he and I started dating, he said, "Why don't you try getting your real estate license? I think you would be really great at it. And I think it would be something that would give you the time and energy to be able to be with your daughter." So I was working a full-time job at that time, dropping my daughter off at before care at her school at about 7 in the morning every day. And I wouldn't pick her up until 6 or 6:30 every night.
Wow.
And that was my why, for sure. So I was in this job that I hated and was not busy and not fulfilled. So I sat in my office and I took real estate classes. They basically paid me to get my license. I took my test, passed it the first time I took it, which was, from what I understand, and what I've learned now, is not the easiest thing. So I had to give myself a little pat on the back for that. 2 weeks later, I was called into my boss's office and they told me they were letting me go. And I completely freaked out. And I was driving home. I was talking to Jonas on the phone and was having a complete meltdown because I just didn't know what I was going to do. And he just was like, "Calm down, just take a breath. Everything's going to be fine." And I was sitting at a stoplight on my way home, and I happened to glance at my email and saw that my real estate license had come in that day.
Really?
So yeah. So it just felt like it was really meant to be in that moment, because if I hadn't been in that situation, I probably would have just, done it part-time while I was working full-time, trying to do everything. And I know now as a successful realtor that you can't work this business part-time. It's full-time plus. At that moment, I jumped in both feet.
Yeah.
Just ran with it. And Jonas had just decided to start Bliss Realty Group at that point. He had been with another brokerage, and he said, just come help me start this company. He's been in real estate for 30 years, is brilliant in this business and every aspect of it, but he doesn't understand processes and systems.
Yeah.
And that was my background, being in business administration. That's what I did. I taught C-level executives how to manage their electronics and their computer systems. I did document management, all that stuff. So that's what I did. I helped him do all of this stuff to build this company. And now I'm the supervising broker. I manage all of our document management systems. I train new agents on contracts and processes and all that good kind of fun stuff. So 8 years later, here I am. I bought my first house all by myself and have really just been pretty self-sufficient in raising my daughter. And my ex-husband has not been super involved. So it's just been, you just run with it and you get it done, and you battle it, and it is what it is. So I'm so happy. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago.
Right. And
But
it is a tough business because you have to go with the changes. You have to go with the flow. And if you don't, then you are going to fail or fall behind, and whatever the case may be. But kind of take me back. So you got let go of this job. You're going to start a career that you're not familiar with. You're single and you have a young daughter who I'm assuming was probably 8-ish around the time.
Yep, she
Okay.
was.
So what did that look like as a mom raising a little girl? Were you taking her on showings? Were you doing anything like that?
Oh yeah, she still goes on showings with me. She'll be 18 in 2 weeks, and she's, yeah, she would go with me and just sit in the car, or she would go into showings with me, and she'd sit in the side with her iPad. But then she actually got to a point when she was in her tween years, when she was feeling a little bit more confident, well, she would walk with me through the house to show it. But I always made sure I asked my clients if it was okay if she was there. And I never had anybody say no. Or if it was a more high-end client, I would just say, hey, you need to stay in the car.
Mhm.
And, she was good with that. But it's been a fully immersive kind of career with her. The most amazing thing is she was in 3rd grade. And I remember that Halloween was the first time that I was ever able to volunteer to do anything in her classroom. So I went and helped them. I dressed up as a little cat and went and helped them with their Halloween party in her classroom. And I cried all the way there because I didn't think that this was something that I was ever going to be able to do. Because not only was it that I had to work, but it was fear-based for me, giving up what I had known to be my life, getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, having full benefits and all that kind of stuff, to not knowing where my next check was going to come from. So it kind of took all of that out of that. But yeah, so even to this day, she's very involved.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be very scary because, yeah, I mean, when you are a real estate agent, you're 100% commission based. You don't have benefits. You don't have all of those things that
Mm-mm.
people think or assume or whatever the case may be. Like, you're trying to figure it out, not only how to live in general and be a mom, but how to run a business. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's tough to know what's right, what's wrong. You're never going to know what's right and wrong. You just have to try it, fail, try it, fail again, and keep going until you succeed, I guess, or until
Yeah.
you win. And people fail more times than they succeed. It's just people don't fail, they quit. And I heard a quote, and I love that quote because it's not about failing, it's not about getting knocked down. It's just keep going. You have to have belief in yourself and those around you. And hopefully the people around you have belief in you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was a big motivator for me because Jonas was very key in that, because he wouldn't let me quit. He wouldn't let me fail. There was times I remember, right before COVID, where I was doing pretty well. I'd been in real estate for almost 4 years. at that point, and I was making ends meet. I was paying the bills and doing what I needed to do for my daughter, but I wasn't killing it at that point. I was just kind of doing what I needed to do. I actually got to a point one time that I went and I applied for a part-time job at Costco. And I was like, I am going to need to find something to make ends meet. I need to do something. And he always like, Reg is going to have your back. And this is the funniest thing because he says it's Reg. He calls it the real estate god. So he's always like, you can't speak negatively about this. You can't, that's his way of manifesting things is if you don't, Reg is going to punish you for that. So you remain positive. And when you remain positive, Reg will reward you in your income. And that's the thing for me is I've built the best friendships out of this business too. My clients are not just my clients, they become my friends, sometimes parts of my family. And that's the big thing for me that's gotten me through is just how much I love working with those people. But there has been times when it's not easy and you have to, but anyways, going back to the Costco thing, I never ended up working at Costco because COVID hit and I got so busy that my head was spinning and I didn't know what to do. So it's been so true. Reg has had my back. And there had been times at the beginning of my career when I would, Jonas would loan me enough money to pay my rent. And then I would just pay him back out of my next commission check or things like that. So I've had a lot of support just to help me through this business, not to quit because I didn't want to be part of that. I don't know. What did they say? 20%?
Oh,
yeah. The people in real estate who don't make
20% of the agents do 80% of the transactions and 80% do 20% kind of thing.
Yeah. And only a very small percentage of us make it past our second year in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody,
I think it's 87% fail within the first 2 or 5 years, something along
that. Yeah. It's something crazy like that. So I was determined not to be one of those people to be able to actually make this a life and a career. So.
Well, and I think it kind of goes back to you don't really fail. People just quit. They quit when times get tough. They quit when business slows down because they need to make ends meet. So it's not that they truly failed. It's just that's part of one, real estate, but also being an entrepreneur is you're going to have slow times. You're going to have really good times, but you're going to have really slow times. So you have to be able to, the more experience you get, the highs and lows are not so severe. It's a little bit more steady, but you're still going to have some ups and downs, and it does get a little bit easier, but you become a little bit more resilient with the obstacles and the challenges and the slow times that you come across.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is really planning for those downtimes and making sure that you're setting yourself up for that. I learned that the hard way the last couple of years, because 2021 was such an epic year. So I really jumped in and I bought a house and I did all these things. And the last 2 years hit and I was like, I wish I would have set more of that aside and created more of a nest egg. I don't regret the things that I did because I invested in my daughter and I invested in our future and our lives. But at the same time, I'm like, because I grew up pretty poor. I'm a Gen Xer. And so it was like, one of those things that you just put your nose to the grindstone and that's what you did. I've had to learn to change my mindset when it comes to finances and doing all of those things that people who have had money or are comfortable with doing instead of just stockpiling my toilet paper or doing those kinds of things. But I always tell younger agents, when you have those really prosperous times, take some money and set it aside, put it into an account, not just for your taxes. Of course, you need to set money aside for your taxes, but take some money and put it into an investment account so that you're setting aside money for the times that you like 2022 and 2023 that are going to be slower, that you're not going to have the business. You're not going to have, you're going to be able to likely make ends meet, but you're going to have those times when it's scary and you want to be able to have something to fall back on so that fear isn't so deep.
Yeah. And it's interesting because my CPA even asked me, so actually 2023 was my best year.
Really?
Yeah, it was my best year. I mean, 2021 was and 2020 amazing years as well, but my best year was
Yeah.
2023. And my CPA, when I told him that, he's like, I don't mean for this to sound rude, but how?
I know.
That's rude. Come on. No, but I mean, it's just grinding and it's putting yourself out there and stepping outside your comfort zone and being willing to do the things that other people don't want to do, like making those phone calls, doing those cold calls, I guess, having a podcast and really helping other people get to their next level as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right because you look back and you can be like, how much money did I make and where did all of that go?
Yeah. That's
I
exactly
don't
right.
know if you've felt that. I've felt that many times. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I do make myself feel a little bit better because being in real estate is expensive. And especially when you want to continue growing, your bills stock up because you're paying for leads, you're doing this, you're doing that.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're making more, but you're spending more. Hopefully
Yep.
not on unnecessarily necessary things. Obviously, vacations, things like that, definitely
Yeah.
still a priority because when you work hard, you also need to play hard. But yeah, you'll get to the point and you're like, okay, let me really figure out where I put my money this year because
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
isn't looking good. And then Uncle Sam comes in. But I have found though that when I can put my money into investment properties, even if it's not like a killer when it comes like to income every month, it is so beneficial when it comes to offsetting your income in your real estate world. It has
Yeah.
been a game changer. And that's something that I have to like. My husband's like, oh, I don't like that unit or that investment. It doesn't have a lot of monthly income. It's not a monthly income that we can retire on, no, but you have no idea the tax benefits we get every single year on it. I don't really care what we get per month. It's the tax benefit side that is like a game changer. The
Yeah.
depreciation. So that really
Yeah.
offsets it. So I guess what have you done? You said the last 2 years have kind of slowed down for you. So what has helped you to get through those tougher times mentally more than anything?
Oh, my daughter is getting ready to graduate from high school and she played competitive softball for a long time. So I didn't really have time to sit back and dwell on it. I had to hustle and, it's just getting on the phone, making the calls, networking with your sphere as much as possible. That was the hard thing for me in starting as I haven't had a huge sphere. A lot of that changed for me when I got divorced. So just really putting my nose down and just working as hard as I could for doing well, I was doing transaction coordination for the brokers in our office just to make a little bit of extra money and, just really getting out there and working for it. I was actually, when I first started, I started sending out letters and postcards to expireds and withdrawals, trying to reach out to FISBOs as much as possible, just doing everything that I could just to generate some business.
Yeah. So what are some things for newer agents that come into your office? What do you recommend that they do to generate that business?
I think we've had the agents who've come into our office have all usually been pretty young, that this is one of their first careers. We've had a couple of newer agents that are more established, but they all have good spheres. And it's a lot of times it's just telling people this because people think that real estate's easy, that it's just going to be easy money. And I think that's a lot of what we saw during COVID, all these people jumping in and getting their licenses because they saw everything that was going on. Like, I want a piece of that. But you have to work hard. You've got to get up and work your leads every single day. You've got to be on the phone. You've got to be prospecting. You have to be following up. You have to, and that's the thing is they don't realize how hard we actually really work
Yeah.
to do what we do.
There's
And
this big misconception for sure.
yeah, and so and that was one of the things. It's like you don't all you have to do is be able to fog a mirror to get a real estate license. But in order to be successful at it, you have to have a want and you have to have drive and you have to have a good why. You have to have a why that you're working for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, it's so easy to fall back on your laurels and just be like, it's too hard. I'm going to go find something else to do. But if you can stick with it and can find some successes and you get those wins are what push you forward. And I also found out too that after you got a few wins, the failures are what pushed me harder than even the wins, because then I wanted to do better next time. I wanted to be better. I didn't want that client, the next client, to have that same kind of frustration. I didn't want them to, it made me learn how to write better offers. It made me learn how to communicate better and take more classes, get more education on negotiating. And I just got my CRS designation not long ago, and I wish I would have done that a while ago. There's just a lot of things that I'm trying to work from to get a GRI. My sister's a realtor in Texas, and she's a GRI twice over, so I can't let her beat me on that.
See, I don't have any designations. Like, I just never have. I do so much education. It's insane. But I have never been so focused on the designations and all of that. I don't know why, but I haven't. Probably should. But I think I educate myself enough and so much that, in my opinion, a lot of the education that I do is probably better than a lot of those other things anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think all of it goes hand in hand. I mean, the designations are just basically saying, I got this education.
Yeah.
And I'm really smart in what I do. We have an agent and a broker in our company, I think, that has 13 designations or something like that.
Like a whole alphabet.
Yeah. But the whole thing that lies behind that is the education piece, right? So even when you're on calls with certified residential specialists, with the Residential Real Estate Commission, everybody's like, education, education, education. And that's what it is. So I don't think you need to have the designations as long as you have the education to back up what you're telling people. The designations just make it so that you don't have to tell people about all the education. You just say, I have a CRS.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I would agree with that. Absolutely. You don't need to tell people. But it is very important. And I think that's where a lot of people stop growing, is because they stop educating themselves. Not just in real estate, but just in life in general, is that once they're done with school, they think they're done. I have learned more the last 6 years of my life than I did probably all high school, college, elementary, all of those things. I educate and spend more money on education now than I ever have. And that's a lot when you go to college for 4 years and you have a bachelor's degree and all of that.
Yeah, well, and that's something that we tell new agents too. Like, the classes that you take to get your license are basically just for you to pass the test. You don't learn how to write a contract. You don't learn how to negotiate a contract. You don't learn how to negotiate inspections. None of that stuff. That comes with real world experience and going and getting your education outside of your license. Well, I just spent so much money on that. Well, good luck. You just started. So it doesn't get cheaper.
Sponge, soak it all in.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't stop. You have to, because things are so changing. I mean, even right now with everything going on with the lawsuit and NAR and all that, we're all learning so much more now than I think we have in the last 10 years combined, just because everything is changing so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that lawsuit, I think there's so many agents. We'll lose a lot of agents, which I am excited for. Not that I want to see anybody fail, but I think our industry is very saturated. But I'm actually very excited for it, because I think it's going to cause and force the experienced agents, or the agents who have that grit, to level up. What do I need to do to secure that buyer and show them my value and my worth? How can I negotiate that? And honestly, just staying educated on top of all of the, like, trying to figure out what's right, what's not, how you can do certain things, because you're going to get to that time and there's going to be agents who are not doing the things that you need to do in order to get paid, and they're going to get burned. They're going to go through this. If they don't have certain things, they're not going to get paid. So it's just staying on top of it, staying ahead of the market, learning about AI, artificial intelligence, learning about how can you incorporate, not to replace people, but to enhance them and take your business to another level. So it's not being fearful of the changes, it's adapting to and with the changes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing, being in Northern Colorado, I always tell people, especially when I'm talking to new prospective clients, just because somebody is looking on the website, they're going to register with how many different websites, and they get 85 different calls from all these brokers that are trying to prove their value. I always tell people you can't swing a dead cat in northern Colorado without hitting a broker. They are everywhere and everybody knows a realtor. So you have to really, really be able to help yourself to stand out. You've got to find ways to do that.
And I think the way you stand out is finding your own personality and finding your own brand and finding out what you truly love. So what I have really done over the last year is purple is my branding. As you can see, like that's just kind of my thing. That's something here recently that I did. But purple's always been my favorite color. My kids have known that forever. And I never thought to incorporate that into my business. Whether it makes a difference, I don't know, but I do love it. So I think eventually people will see, if you see purple, oh, hey, that's Shay Spitz. But also, like, my heart is really with entrepreneurial moms, not just in real estate, but moms, because I have kids. I have 3 little ones. And I have just always been able to resonate with others who also have kids, because I understand you're at a different time than where I am, but you've been through what I've been through for the most part. You obviously single and stuff like that. But when your daughter was little, you have the experience that I do not. So I can connect with you and figure out what you did during these times to help me with my career too. We all have a piece to be able to share with one another. And I've always brought my kids to showings, listings, or a few listing appointments. I try not to do listing appointments because that's where you really need to focus more than anything.
Yeah.
But, I've had to, but also open houses. I've brought them to open houses. I think my youngest is kind of burnt out in real estate. She's 4. And she's been going with me since she came out of the womb. Like, we got home on a Saturday. I was literally showing homes with her on that Monday. And so anytime she's like, well, where are we going? I'm like, we're going to go look at a house. I don't want to. Yeah. She's also a teenager, 4 years. It's awful.
She's a 4-nager.
Oh my gosh. I joke that she's going to be the death of me, but I'm kind of slightly serious. So. Love pieces, but oh my gosh, there's always that one child.
I've always been really lucky because my daughter's just been, she's been attached to my hip. We've just been like this since the day she was born. It's just been, can I come with you? Before she was old enough to stay home by herself, she didn't have a choice. She'd just go with me. And now she's like, hey, is it a nice house you're showing? She asks me that all the time. Like, yeah, it's a really great house. Or if it's one that she doesn't, it's not in the best neighborhood and it's not the nicest house, she'll be like, well, I'll just go with you and just stay in the car. I'm like, okay.
Aww, that's
so she's liked being with me, but I've also had to it does take a village. It really does. It's so many times I would have to go drop her off at a softball tournament and miss a game to go do some showings, but then I'd go drive right back. Or if we were traveling for a tournament or something like that, the one thing that I love about real estate is that I can do it from anywhere, as long as I have my phone and my computer. And I always we've had a team of agents who I could call on to go do a showing for me or something like that. I've written contracts on my phone before, but it does take a village. It is not easy, but it's so great just being able to have that freedom in what we do.
And I think there's also a little bit of a misconception, because you had made the comment that, yeah, you do have more freedom. But I also think people don't realize that it takes a lot more grit. It takes a lot more discipline, and you're working different hours. Like you said, you had to miss, your daughter's softball game to go do some showings. Well, most people don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
I work 7 days a week. And sometimes I'll be on my computer until 10, 11 o'clock at night doing stuff. I put my phone on do not disturb when I laid my head down to go to sleep. But other than that, I'm available to my clients at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had people say, Shay, aren't you like pretty drained? I had a meeting the other day, literally 2 hours, and I had my phone on do not disturb. I think I had 6 calls, 31 text messages. And like, is that draining? I'm like, exhausting. A lot of times it's exhausting. Now, I swear it's not always like that, but I feel like when people know I'm in a very important meeting and I cannot answer, that's when they're going to call and text me.
Oh, yeah.
Or when you go on vacation.
Yep, exactly. You always know that your business is going to pick up when you plan a vacation.
Yeah. But
2 days before
it's very exhausting. It takes a lot more mental strength than people realize. Because I can tell you, I hate making phone or cold calls. Hate it. But it takes that mental strength to say, nope, this is what I got to do. I want to get where I want to go. This is what I have to do. It's just
Yeah, we actually have a new agent. He just turned 21. He got his license right out of high school. And we really had to work a lot with him on calling leads because we had put him onto our website. We set the bar a little low for him, but we wanted him to get used to calling people. But he would come in, we would do call nights, and he'd come into the office just like sweating and so nervous. And he's just like, I can't do this. Like, how do you make these calls? He was so nervous. I'm like, these people don't know you. They're not sitting in front of you. It's not like somebody's going to punch you in the face. The worst that's going to happen is they might cuss you out and hang up on you, but it's not, then you just brush it off and you move on to the next one. So I remember there were so many times when Jonas would go sit in the office with him and he'd say, okay, I'm going to make 12 calls here in 30 minutes. And I bet you that I will get at least 5 people to answer the phone. And he did every time. I have no idea how he does it, but he did every time. And this kid would just look at him and just be like, okay, I think I can do this now. But it is, anxiety is a real thing in this business for sure. It's scary.
It is. And I kind of joke because I feel like I would be able to get more phone calls in if I lived in a bigger city. But in Nebraska, people want to talk. People want to tell you about their story and their life. And I'm like, I will literally call people and be on the phone for a half hour, 45 minutes. Because I'm a friendly person. So I like to, but I don't want to cut people off. But I'm like, well, you know, if I was sitting down to make cold calls for an hour, I might be able to get 1 or 2 in.
Yeah. Sometimes more. Well, that's if they answer the phone, right, Shay?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes it's more than that, but other times I'm like, okay, now I'm mentally drained and now I have to go on to my next appointment, so I can't make these other 10 calls.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, you just have to build up that resiliency and just not care what people say to you because it's not personal. You can't take it personal, especially in this career. It's not. And I can guarantee you the moment you say your name, they probably forgot it anyway. So they're not going to call that person. They called me to ask about if I wanted to buy a house. Okay.
Yeah. The last week I was making some calls and my daughter was in the kitchen. I was sitting on the couch on my computer making some calls. My daughter was in the kitchen making breakfast and I had it on speaker and the person she answered the phone and I started going through my spiel and click, she hung up on me. And Isabel goes, did she really just hang up on you? I was like, yes. And I'm calling her right back.
Yeah. I was going to say, I hope you called her back.
I did. She
didn't
answer.
I think we got disconnected.
Yeah. She didn't answer. So I sent that text. Sorry, I think you might have been in a bad spot or something.
I know. Sometimes you just got to play around with it. This was a long time ago, but I had somebody register to our website that said it was the F word, like F-U. And I said, hey, is this F-U? Because that was their name, but they were fine. They ended up hanging up on me anyway. So it was fine. But you know what? I don't know who they are. And sometimes you just have to have fun with it because you got to have fun with what you do. Because if you can't laugh, then are you really going to enjoy the real estate world? Because if you take everything personal and everything serious, you're going to be miserable and you will be eaten alive in this business.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I think that I get caught up in comparing myself to other people sometimes too. And that's a huge no-no in life, but especially in real estate. You can't compare the business that you're doing to the business that somebody else is doing. And I struggle with that a lot. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not doing, but there are times when I'm doing way more business than that person's doing. It's just basically learning to support and cheer people on regardless of where you are.
I love that. I love that because if they're with another company or within the same company, you need to support them. You need to cheer them on and truly be happy with their success too. Because if you focus on, because I get caught up in it too. And my coach just said this to me the other day. I'm like, this person, this agent's getting this, and they just had this many more listings. And my coach is like, Shay, stop it. Don't stop watching that. I'm like, oh, I know, but it's a habit. I'm like, why? And it's not that I even told my coach, I'm like, it's not that I'm missing out on these listings. I don't even have a phone call. I don't even get an interview. Because if I get an interview, I'm pretty good at locking it in and we're going to be good. But I'm like, why am I not even getting a phone call? I'm doing this. I'm doing this. They're not even doing this. They don't do this. And I'm like, but he's like, calm down.
Yeah. And that's my managing broker would be like, watch out. Reg is listening.
Reg. I I love that. I've never heard of that, but I believe, because I know where he's coming from, because it's manifestation. And I tell my husband, I tell agents, just people in general, what you focus on grows. So if you're focusing on other people succeeding and you're not getting this and you're not getting that and things are going bad and things are terrible, well, that's what you're going to focus on. And that's the direction your life is going to go.
Yeah.
But if you're focusing on like, okay, so I have this going on and we're going to do this. I mean, you have to be able to focus on the positive, especially when you get into that negative mentality.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's been something that's really resonated with me. I think it's pretty elementary, but it's funny to have it in your head to think that what you think about, you bring about. And if you have that, the idea of Reg in your mind just kind of clicks that way.
Reg, that's so
I
funny.
think
I love that. I've never heard of it, but I absolutely agree with it 100%.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
real estate God, that's too funny. That
Yeah.
is too funny. But yeah, so where do you see especially because you're going to go through a lot of changes, especially not even in career, but in your personal life with your daughter, I'm assuming going off to college. Is she moving out?
Yeah. 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 So she'll be here until August, and then I go and move her into college. So I don't know what I've got 2 golden retrievers. So I figure they're gonna keep me focused. I used to teach Zumba back in the day. Maybe I'll start doing that again. It's like, okay, now I need to start focusing more on myself and figuring out what makes me outside of being Isabel's mom. Because I've always just been Isabel's mom and my real estate side over here, but it's always been focused on her, everything. So that's the scary thing. And I'm approaching 50 next year. And so I just I don't know. That's the scary thing.
Yeah.
But the world is my oyster. I could go anywhere. My sister's a really successful realtor in Corpus Christi, Texas. My niece is a realtor in San Antonio. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Texas and be with family, or maybe I'll sell this house and get something smaller and, more manageable for me. But I know that real estate is my future, and it's where I am, and it's where I want to be. I just don't know physically where I want to be.
Where you're going to go. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I think a lot of it depends too on where my daughter decides to go. She's always had a dream of going south, moving to the south somewhere. We go visit my sister in Texas and she never wants to come back. So I won't allow myself to be thousands of miles away from her. I think I'll probably end up following her wherever she goes. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. You guys have obviously been so close for so many years. You guys been the 2 of you. And I mean, she's got to live her life. And so, hey, mom, if you want to come, more power to you.
Yeah. She's like, you could live near me, but not with me. I'm like, okay. Oh, dang it. I hate when that changed, because when she was little, she used to say, you're coming to college with me and you're going to live in my dorm. You're going to be with me all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that will change.
Unfortunately, we know that's going to change. I know my son, my kids are still pretty young, but my son, to this, like the sweetest little boy in the entire world, to this day, he promises me he will still hug me and hold my hand and snuggle with me, even when he's his dad's age. So I'm holding him too.
I hope so. That's awesome.
He's also 7. He doesn't know what he's saying. So, but I know that's going to change someday, unfortunately, but I think he's also still going to always be my snuggle bug, but I don't think he's going to actually be snuggling me when he's 35, but I won't say no.
Yeah.
You never know.
I wouldn't complain either.
You never know. You never know. So
right.
Tell me a little bit. Okay, so tell me, what is one piece of advice before we get off the call? What is one piece of advice that you would give somebody, to the listeners, who's either just getting started in real estate or maybe a younger version of yourself?
Don't doubt yourself, because that's the thing. Self-doubt will eat you alive. You have to learn to not take the things that people say and internalize them. That's the biggest thing for me. And my sister sent me this poem that I had shared on Facebook, and I can't even read it to you right now. But what the premise of it is, let them have their opinions. Let them think what they want. You know who you are and you know your worth. Go out there and fight for it and get it every day. And don't let anybody tell you different.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said, somebody else's problem with me is not my problem. As long as I have never tried to sabotage somebody or maliciously do something to them, which I don't think I ever have, and nor would I ever intentionally do that. But somebody else's problem with me is not my problem. It stems from them, whether it's internally or something going on in their personal lives. It is generally never something you specifically did to them. So that's not my problem. I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I know who I am. I have my confidence. I have my strength. I have my people. And I'm sorry that you feel that way. That's like when people get offended. I'm not offensive, or that's on you, in my opinion. Like, that's on you. Like, if you feel offended about something, that has nothing to do with me. That's something to do with your insecurities or something to do with your belief in yourself or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And when you do that, you let the self-doubt creep in. And self-doubt is going to be your biggest enemy. And that's the thing, is if you did this for a reason and you are where you are for a reason, and the minute that you let that self-doubt creep in, you're defeating yourself. And you have to fight for yourself every day.
You do. Nobody's coming for you,
in your personal life, in your business, in everything.
No one's coming to save you. Nobody will, I promise. Nobody's coming to save you. Even if you have kids and a significant other, nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. You have to be the one to get out of your own head and do the things that you need to do. So awesome. Well, Courtney, thank you so much. So anybody who, let's say if I have a buyer or somebody who's going to be moving to your area or going to be selling in that area, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can always go to my website. It's www.realestatecourtney.com. That will get you to the website. You can always email me. All my contact information is there. My cell phone is attached to me at all times. So email, call, phone calls. I'm always available to help anybody with anything they need.
Awesome. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your very busy schedule.
I appreciate you inviting me. This was fun.
Yes, thank you so much.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shay J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.